Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the NRG series. If you just tune in, well, you've missed round one, but lucky for you, we've got 7 more rounds of modern action to come. I'm Will Hall, better known on the instance, Will Hall XP. That's Corbin Hostler, and we are going to be taking you through the first part today before I jump out, and then we're going to get good old Doomweight Gins to replace me. Let's be honest, do a better job than me. He's going to take you through to that top 8. But we've got lots to talk about to kick off today. We've got a lot of prizes on the line that everyone is battling out. We've got 177 players. As I mentioned, 8 rounds battling out, try and get themselves their share of not only money, but also invites. So if we've got a slide for it, let's have a little look at that slide. And you can talk us through this, Torben.
Yeah, look, obviously the prize money is huge. You're playing in a $5,000 trial, first place getting 1,200, 600 a second. Everyone in that top 8 making at least $200 and paying out all the way down to 32nd. And what you're playing for past that, though, you see that little magic symbol next to that 1,200. That's because that is an invite that you are playing for, not to mention those NRG series points that you can work on over the course of the season to get your way up on the leaderboard, like some of the players you're going to be seeing coming up in our next round. And that, of course, leads to the end of the year event.
We got a segue. Let's see who's on that leaderboard.
That's right. Well, we can check out the leaderboard here. There you go. Harrison Canfor with a pretty substantial lead, 112 points. Sean Gallagher in second place with 89. Work your way on down the field. You can see some of those players, of course, already qualified for the 2024 championship by punching their ticket directly. So this is the leaderboard you want to get on. This is what it's all about. This is check out an event coming near you, and you can end up on this leaderboard, which can get you to the end of the year tournament for a massive, massive prize pool.
Well, you're looking at you see Harrison there, you see Sean. Yeah, they're at the top, but they're still battling out. They're still playing. There's still the MVP slot that everyone is battling for. Even if you qualify for the end of the year, if you're top of this leaderboard, you get MVP of the year. That means you get a year's worth of invites to all the events for free for the year. This is a grinder's dream. Not only do you get to see your name on the board, but also you get to go every event for free. So still loads to play for. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of these names throughout this weekend. But as you mentioned, this qualifies you to the end of year 35K invite only tournament. We've got a bunch of players registered for it already. We're going to send another one there today, another 3 there tomorrow, because that is what the showdowns do. And if you win one of these some of these events at the NRG series, you get tokens made of you, Corbin. Have you ever had a token made of you?
I have. And at first you're like, oh, I don't know if I'd want that. But then trust me, once you have it in your hands and you play it and you beat your friends with it, you're like, yeah, this is worth it. This is cool. And all showdown winners at the NRG series will receive a custom token by Inkland Customs. You can see some of them there on the screen. Look how fun they are, right? Like there's just something really especially when you win too, right? It's not the traditional trophy you put up on the wall, but man, is it cool to have something that really commemorates your win in a really special, unique way.
Yeah, we got some of the big hitters on there, like Nikachu, Dom's on there, May French on there. There's so many good ones floating around. But I do look. You told me you've got one. What was your token?
We had I believe I had a 1/1 Merfolk we made for the podcast.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
It was fun. I'm a Magic boomer. I've been at this for a long time, and it's a little different to have your own custom Magic card that you get to play with. That's what these tokens allow you to do. And you can use it for anything, as it turns out. It turns out it doesn't actually matter what the token of you is, because you can use it for everything, and that's what you want to do.
Well, here is our feature match here, and one of those tokens we just seen is from this man on the left of the screen, Mr. Dom Harvey, on everybody's favorite deck right now, Bant Nadu, going up against Benjamin Gruul Prowess. Now, if you want to beat these Nadu decks, going underneath them is a great way to do it, and Gruul Prowess is one of the quicker decks in the format to do it. I feel like play draw is going to be pretty dependent. We're going to give them the green light so they can kick off.
Yeah, this is going to be an extremely interesting match because Dom Harvey, one of the best players on the circuit, one of the most consistent players on the circuit, playing probably the best and most consistent deck on the circuit in Bant Nadu. So this is going to be sort of the boogeyman of modern. It's what everyone's talking about. That said,
Well, we're going to see why, I'm sure.
yeah, we are going to see why. That said, though, this Gruul Prowess deck, it is presenting some questions that this Bant Nadu deck is not used to answering, at least.
Well, that the dice with a 5 on it, I believe, means that Benjamin is down to 5 cards in hand off the mulligan, but is on the play, so that's pretty big here. Maybe knew what it was against and know that we have to, get the race going ASAP. Dom, I was actually casting with Dom last weekend, and he was telling me all about the Nadu decks and what he thinks about it and why he thinks you're basically, if you're not doing Nadu, you're doing it wrong at this point. And this is coming from a Titan player. This man is a through and through Titan master, but still at the current method sides, this is the deck to play. This is the deck he wants to register. Obviously taking down round number 1, looking to do it here in round number 2 at the NRG, but blighting, a really fast start here for Benjamin on the right of our screens.
Yeah, the Gruul Prowess deck needs to go fast, and this is how you go fast. Swift Sphere into Show Off. Boom, boom. We're calling it Gruul Prowess, of course, but it is almost entirely red, right? This is a red deck. So you're going to get hit with the 1, 2, 3, just like you're used to seeing out of every red deck forever, except this one can get really nutty with those Prowess triggers very quickly, and with Slick Shot Show Off involved, that may be what's happening here. Now Wall of Roots is going to get in front of Swift Spear. You can block, but that opens up the window here. What can Benjamin Ungar do to pump up this Show Off?
Well, I see a Galvanic Discharge in hand, another Swift Spear, and a Lava Dart. So lots of options here. Can definitely get one of these creatures, if really wanted to, you could get both creatures off the battlefield and get in one huge hit. This is going to generate free energy. We can cash 2 of that in.
Yeah, this is how you just go faster than Nadu, right? Like you put Nadu to the screws early, and maybe mess up their mana by, if they don't block, you can just kill them. Like, these are the threats you have to produce early so that the deck doesn't just run you over if you just don't interact with it by turn 3 or 4.
So Thompson wants to do anything in response. Could call a calling for 0 here, because the Wall of Roots and how it works is we can generate the mana and then tap it for itself. Doesn't work on Magic Online, as much as I keep asking them, being a Yawgmoth player. Hasn't been fixed yet. But that's what Dom is thinking about right now. And I think this is a sign. This is telling Benjamin some cards that are in Dom's hand. If we're tanking at that point, okay, I work out from the battlefield. Quarter calling is what you've got. You're thinking, is it worth going to go get that Dryad Arbor before damage happens? Decides against it. Draws Nadu for the turn. So if we play land Nard Shuko, might just be the game. It might just be the game.
Which is wild, because this has been an almost perfect start for Benjamin, right? But so he opted for just the Galvanic Discharge there. Keeps up Lava Dart in hand and mana. So it went a little slower than he, the absolute all out there. And we'll see if he is able to get a chance to make that decision matter. As you mentioned, it can just end out of nowhere, because that's what Nadu does. And of course, by out of nowhere, we mean over the course of 10 excruciating minutes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to earn our money. Is basically what I'm getting at here. But Benjamin's setting up, not playing to stall the board or anything like that. Not playing for future turns. Is lined up, get a big chunk of damage in this turn. If it's just a dawdly turn or a couple of mana dorks come down, if we hit that extra land drop, we can go in Slick Shot into the Lava Dart, return Lava Dart. That in itself is about 11 damage. But we're going to go Safekeeper into Nadu. So this is where things are going to get a little interesting of how do we want to sequence this. And this is my problem. Well, not my problem with Nadu. I just think it's nuts that Nadu, I can go to kill one of their creatures like we're seeing now, and I could constantly trigger them having the win. That's the crazy thing about this deck. It's like, I'll kill your main card. Oh, I've triggered. You've now won the game. Awkward.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. It looked like the Lava Dart got sent at the Safekeeper there, throws away a land to protect it. You're right. That's, of course, what's just absurd. All right, another Slick Shot Show Off is coming in. Oh, that's not a bad one. The Bobble is going to give them double triggers on the Show Offs, which fly, and there's a Lava Dart in the graveyard.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So Dom does have to block something this turn. Cannot let all this go through. is dead on board if he does do that. That lava dart flashback does a point damage itself, but more importantly, adds 5 extra damage across all these creatures. I'm going to throw it back to just that last time. I think there's something like really sly that we missed. Dom sequenced the Safekeeper into Nadu, knowing that there was 1 red mana up and 1 extra energy left over from that first Galvanic Discharge. So if he went Nadu first and then Safekeeper in response, if there was a Galvanic Discharge for Benjamin's side, it could have used the 4 energy to take it off. So decided to do it the other way around, which actually played off a little bit better for Benjamin because it had Lava Dart, which could again then get targeted at the Safekeeper, which inevitably cost Dom a land. I think it's very small detail, but it's interesting how that played out and what Dom was playing around. And Dom's now working the map out himself.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because depending on what's in Dom's hand there, he may decide that, okay, all that actually matters is that I untap with this Nadu, right? If I throw this land away, that doesn't matter because I sequence it this way. All that matters is that I guarantee untapping with Nadu so I can take the line that leads me to that. Or
this block's great, by the way.
Yeah.
This is a great block because now what you can do, you use the Lava Dart to target my Nadu, give me another trigger, and then I'm going to sacrifice a land anyway to give it protection. So that's not going to work for you. This is such an awkward position, but masterfully done here by Dom Harvey. Me and Dom go way back, by the way. I don't think enough people know. Me and Dom used to play together when he used to live in England. Like, he used to live in the same area as me, and we used to play all the time at all the local events together. And then he's moved to Canada and is now doing extremely well for himself. Here comes the Lava Dart. That's going to cost us a mountain. Going up to the face, so that's going to drop down to 12. Damage happens, going to drop Dom down to 2. Now, does 2 shut off anything in the deck? Does that make it any harder to combo off here?
I wouldn't expect so, but it's just it's all about whether Dom can get it going with enough mana here, right? Like, that's what the Bant Nadu turns are all about, is how you manage your mana as you go. And I think he may be settling in to think about this one because he played this game as you do against the red decks. We've made it to turn 4. You just try to survive. You do whatever you can do to do that. Here he is, untapping at 2 life. He played the game so that even around another Galvanic Discharge, he couldn't lose Nadu to give himself this window. That said, as you can see, he's counting it out here. He's kind of wincing and may not be mathing quite the way he wants it to math before he gets going. So I guess that's what you want to see if you're Benjamin. I don't know. If you're Benjamin, what you probably really want to get good at is
top decking,
calming your brain while your opponent does this, right? Like going into the zone, getting zen, like doing whatever you need to do while you're tapped out with 1 mountain in play and your opponent does this.
So Dom's got some options there. Doesn't have a great way of triggering Nadu at the minute. That's the problem, right? The only thing we've got is Safekeeper, and we don't have many lands to do that. We've got a Quarter Cooling in hand. We also have the is it called Storm Drake? I can't remember the one that can swap something across. The Storm Drake in hand as well. We've got a Shuko. No, not a Shuko. We've got a Natuko in hand. But and a redundant Nadu. That's our 4 copies. And now we're trying to work out how can we pilot this. And we're going to start off by floating mana and sacrificing a land, triggering the Nadu, which reveals a land. Of course it does. Always does hits. And it's an untapped source as well.
I assume that was big for Dom. He seemed pretty happy about that because that means the mana goes into the pool and that allows you to Court of Calling. X will equal 3 because you hit the land off of it, which allows you to get your Encore. That's the Outrider Encore, which can then for 0 mana target a creature. So now the engine is fully set up. I think it seemed like that was the big moment for Dom. Needed to flip a land off the top there to just make it easy mode and cord for 3 to set this up. And that's where we're at now. Now you can see he's sort of gone from I'm in thinking mode to I'm in combo turn mode, and look how practiced he is here.
You don't move this quickly if you don't have it. So every land that hits now is going to come into the battlefield untapped, and at some point we'll get this Shuko out. No, I keep saying Shuko. This I missed it. The one that makes snakes. Nantuko, thank you. The one that makes snakes. So every land drop makes snakes, which is 2 more triggers. So yeah, we're going through the motions. right now. This is going to get a Dried Arbor, I imagine. She's another creature. There it is. Has to be played up front, of course, with the creatures. Shout out to Gabriel Nassif.
I remember there was once an event where there was a mistake made with it in the back, and did that cause some
That
discourse that weekend?
that was the Gab turn. That's what it is. It was
I didn't
against Gab
realize
Nassif.
I didn't realize that's where it came from specifically.
Yeah.
There you go.
Gab attacked and thought he had lethal, but the guy pulled the arbor out from his
Oh,
land and blocked.
yeah.
And it was like that caused the kerfuffle. So now we've got to play that Dried Arbors up with our creatures.
Well, and they did the ultimate. Look, I can appreciate it from a certain level. The ultimate troll card, right, where they made a secret lair before it was a secret lair, as a giant arbor promo that looked like a basic land.
That was the art of it, though. That was the art that got used in that kerfuffle, and that art, because it was the only foil version or something like that at the time, or the easiest foil version, and it looks so. It is a basic Mount Forest at that point. It looks so good. Dom's still turning the wheels here. Every land's generating more insects. It's generating more looks at the top of our deck. Benjamin, I think Dom's demonstrating the loop basically to I'm going to keep doing this. This is what's going to happen. I'm willing to just show you my deck, and I'm going to tell you how I'm going to win this game. Are you happy to go to game 2?
Yeah, Benjamin has 4 cards in play. Just for context of, is it? I mean, this is where Modern's at. Dom is at 1 life.
Just how he wanted it. Just how he wanted it.
Looks like Dredge, honestly. It feels like when I walked into Magi, I saw someone playing Dredge for the first time. They had their entire graveyard fanned out in straight lines across their board, because it turns out what's in play doesn't really matter. My whole deck's in play. It's kind of how it feels when you're at this point with the Bant Nadu deck, and eventually their whole deck is in play.
All right. Well, this game's basically done, but let's talk about something else. What do you think on Monday? There's a ban and restrictions announcement. No one knows what is getting banned. There's a lot of talk about what potentially could get banned. So let's say that this deck, that Nadu is banned and out of the meta. What do you think the meta will look like once Nadu is gone? If Nadu is gone.
So if that happens, I think what you're probably looking at is the energy decks, because the energy decks for the past, I don't know, month or so, 3 weeks or so, have been more of a metagame share than Nadu when you combine them, right? If you add Mardu, Boros, Energy, they are more players than Nadu. And, maybe that's because people don't want to play Nadu. Part of that's because it's online, where Nadu isn't as powerful, because you can't just shortcut all the actions that Dom's shortcutting right now. I get all of that. With that said, I think what you're seeing is that the energy decks are just extremely strong across archetypes, because there's the Boros energy, which is your more aggressive version. There's the Mardu energy, which is a more disruptive version. And then there's the Jeskai control energy decks that play out even differently. So I think that's where things start. But the thing is, it's almost impossible. It's really easy to look at Modern and say, well, these are the 3 most powerful decks after Bant Nadu. But everything's contextual, right? Everything is around Nadu killing you on turn 3 and turn 4 through removal. And everything will change when that's gone, which then gives you the opportunity to actually see, well, are these energy decks really that strong when they're the cards getting targeted? That's kind of where I think we look.
So I'm looking at it from the perspective, like, if you're telling me one of the best decks, or at least the most popular decks in the format, is going to be a deck where it's got lots of X1s, I just, as a Yawgmoth player, go bet. Bet. I took Yawgmoth to when it was at the MagicCon in Amsterdam happened. Played the side K, the 100K side event there, or main event, whatever it was, one of the events, and I didn't drop a game to the energy decks. Like it felt like I was doing it on easy mode. It was like, oh, I can just play this creature, and I can sacrifice my creatures to kill your X1s to keep going forward. So keep an eye out for Yawgmoth moving forward. If energy does, the Boros Mardu versions really do become prevalent, it's going to be.
And that's why I think we'll get back to our match here, as Dom took that one down, obviously. But that's why I think it's interesting, right? Because that's where things start, right? If energy is good, that's level 1, level 2 is like Yawgmoth, level 3 is whatever. And the thing is, we can't really start working our way down that path while something like Nadu is so present at the top that just kind of restricts your ability to work your way down ABC because A is still just so much better than B and C.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going to end up.
And that's what I love. I love it when metas shift, right? Like, like, especially because of online gaming now and everyone posts everything online. Metas can get solved quite quickly, but because modern is such a fast format, so many cards in it, it's really hard to just get that best deck continuously, right? Like, it's a best deck this week. Great. Well, this deck beats up on that week. So that the next week it shifts and shifts. Just at the minute, we are in a little bit of a rut where there is a deck that is got no bad matchups technically. It's got decks that are better against than some others, but and I think that's why we see a lot of the Jeskai control deck turn up this weekend, because Wrath of the Skies is a house of a card. It destroys every deck I enjoy playing, basically. That's how I look at it.
It is extremely good. The entire shell is good. Honestly, Modern Horizons 3 has brought and reinvigorated a lot of archetypes. The Eldrazi decks almost feel like they haven't even got a fair shake, right? Because of it feels like everything's just kind of been paused. Like Modern Horizons 3 released, we spent a week going, hey, this is a bunch of cool stuff we can do. And then we spent, the next 6 weeks going, well, we'll get to do it one day. And maybe that day will be next week. But the point is, it feels like it's still going to be an exploration and exciting from there because people haven't got to explore where things could go. No. So the next, assuming we have changes next week, the next however many months of Modern in that circumstance, I think we're going to be, I don't know about wide open because we do have a handful of decks, but I genuinely don't know how things are going to shake out. You can tell me that Yawgmoth will be tier 1, and I believe me. You can tell me it'd be unplayable because energy or such and such is pushed X out of the metagame, which is then pushed Yawgmoth out. Like anything can happen, I think, once things open back up, because there's a lot of Modern Horizons 3 that shook things up.
Yeah. There's some cards that we don't even think are playable right now that might end up finding decks for them. There could be, some standard sets that get printed that have some cards that work well with them. It's why I love Modern. I just love everything about it. I love the shake up that Modern Horizons brings. Sometimes it's a little bit too much of that shaking. Slow down a little bit. Let's get back into it. But yeah, I love the idea of it. And I love seeing how it plays out. And I love watching the players bring all these different decks for it. Chat, let me know, what decks do you think are going to be good after Monday? I'm not going to say what potentially could get banned on Monday. I'm not going to ask you that. Just what decks do you think moving forward for Monday are going to be good? Let us know in the chat as we move back down to game number 2 here. Dom 1 game up on the bird. Let's have a look. Actually, when me and Dom were doing commentary last week, we had a little hashtag going to ban the bird. And we're trying to name as many modern playable birds that we could name.
Ooh. Are coatls birds? Icefang coatl? It's the first one I think of. I don't know if it's a bird though.
I don't think we named that one. No, I was like Mockingjay, Mockingbird, the new one that came out. That one's pretty good. What else did we have? That and again, chat, this is something you can join in one with. Obviously, Birds of Paradise is the staple. Bird
That's
of the
not
format.
Modern playable.
Whoa, I'm a Yawgmoth player, dude. Come on. Card's great.
Sadly, Icefang coatl, despite flying, is a snake, not a bird.
Okay, what else can we find? Gilded Goose, modern playable.
Very playable.
It's a bird. What else have we got? There's not much. It kind of get from there. It gets a bit slim pickings.
Mirror entity. Do we play Changelings? Does that count?
Yeah, why not? I'll take it. I'll allow it. Chat's pointing out Stormcrow. Stormcrow's every archetype, every card in every format. We all know that. Come on.
Very playable.
Slickshot Show Off is a bird? That can't be. Is that real?
Really? I thought it was.
Oh my god, it's a bird wizard. Well, we're seeing bird wizards go head to head in this matchup, and technically one of them is a far greater than the other.
Who knew? One. Who knew we were actually in the bird mirror wizard?
I didn't, but we do now. Do see though, coming out of that sideboard, this is the green splash. Pick your poisons coming out of it for Benjamin here. No turn 1 play, but does have pick your poisons in the grip.
I like that card. That's a good card. Chat also pointing out Ledger Shredder, by the way.
Oh yeah,
That one kind of cycles in and out of playability, but I love that card.
Shout out to Derek Davis, by the way. Again, all-star grinder, Pro Tour competitor, one of my favorite players to watch on the Pro Tour scene. It's been hitting up great results. Shame we're not seeing you here today, Derek, but appreciate you tuning in, my friend. Surveil lands. The game went so quick in our first two matches. When one was all colorless, the second game didn't know. We haven't got to talk about Surveil lands and how good they are and what an impact they've made. This is a standard set, but making a huge impact in basically any format that has fetch lands.
Well, I was going to say, your Benjamin there, you do nothing with your man. And I was going to say, that's not what you want out of your Gruul Prowess deck. You want a 1-drop. You need an attack. And look, it's true you do. But when you fetch into a Surveil land and then you put the card you surveil into the graveyard, it feels like drawing. It feels like you did something powerful.
Oh, yeah. It feels like you drew a card. It literally does. And we're going to see it on the other side here for Dom Harvey. This is modern at its best. Fetch land, shuffle, surveil, pass turn. Like, this is what I'm all about. Even mind sensor. Yes, that's a bird. But Dom was not happy when I mentioned that one. As a Tron player, he's like, no, we don't want to see that one anymore. Not a Tron player, Titan player, sorry.
Some OG birds right there. Even mine. What a throwback.
Look, I'm not going to lie to you. I've cast a lot of them in my time. Dom, 2-1 drop plays, though. We're going to play Delighted Halfling. One of the best 1-drops we just have in general right now in Modern. And then the follow-up is out of the sideboard, I believe. That's the Forge Tender. So
Pro-Red Forge Tender from Lore One.
Now, there's a really good reason that comes out of the sideboard, and I can't remember what it is.
It's got Pro-Red, and you can sacrifice to prevent damage from a red source, if I remember. That's a set I started playing in is around that time period. Yeah, prevent all damage to red source of your choice would deal this turn. Pretty good when your opponent's plan is to pump a slick shock
Harsh Mentor.
And you can't say that one at all.
I knew there's a set reason. I know this is good against a red deck, but there's a set reason why this card comes in, and it's so that they can combo through Harsh Mentor. Doomwake in chat, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get some 0-7s for him. Going to see him in the booth alongside Corbin later on, because I've got to go to bed at some point today. So
we appreciate you casting. It'll be at least be late for you pretty soon over on your side of the.
Yeah, it's fine. Look, I'm committed to the cause. I'm here for NRG. I'm here for everybody watching and having a good time. It's going to be amazing. And then tomorrow, actually, I'm kicking off tomorrow's show with Doomwake, and then I'm going to pass Doomwake onto yourself. So you got, the trio will be complete. We would all cast with each other. That's a good weekend for me.
Yeah, we appreciate all of you out there watching along, hanging out with three of us over the course of this weekend. It's going to be fun, even if it involves some Burton Forge Tenders and some Nadus. But yeah, Burton Forge Tender is a sweet answer because it prevents all the damage that it would deal. So yeah, that Harsh Mentor won't deal damage to you throughout your entire combo turn. A really neat answer to the answer,
And I'm not seeing any Bone Crusher Giants. So obviously Bone Crusher is a card that does see a bit of play in Modern at the minute, especially in the red decks, because it gets through Ring, but doubles up, can really get through the Forge as well if we need to.
Yeah, that is a great point. So Shuko onto the Burton Forge Tender. Not what either of those cards is meant for.
No, but look, you do what you need to do. Lava Dart. Try and shoot the Safekeeper here. Would you like to sacrifice a land, Dom? Dom says no. That goes to the graveyard. And again, normally you think, oh great, I've got a comma piece off the battlefield. Nope, this deck plays endurances. So all them we'll just get shuffled back in later, and I'll find them later on when I need them.
Endurance quarter calling loops have become a very interesting part of Modern. That's for sure.
What we got going? What's going to be something? We do have Pick Your Poison. This could be Sacrifice Artifact. More importantly, is it Prowess? It's not Prowess. It's like Super Prowess, right? +2/+0 instead of the +1/+1.
That's correct. Yeah, +2/+0.
1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5 points coming across.
Yeah, this is a bit of a turn. I mean, this is a tough spot for Dom. You've had the Pick the Poisons kind of pick you apart. You've had the aggro deck just aggroing you. Obviously, that can change in a heartbeat if you combo, but without Shuko being in play, things become just enormously more difficult for Dom, and he's way less likely to find a way out of it. That said, I don't know how many cards Ben has in hand, but it can't be many at all. So there's not a lot of he's going to have to find something.
Last really card in hand.
Is that a Lava Dart in graveyard?
Yeah, there's a Lava Dart in graveyard. That's what we cast to kill the Safekeeper. So we've got Lava Dart in graveyard. one extra card in hand that we played, which was with the Wood Foothills, and you're probably thinking, why are you not sandbagging that? Why are you not making Dom do, think a few more things? Well, there is also Underworld Breaches in this deck. So the more
Yeah.
mana we've got and the more cards in our graveyard, the better. But here's another powerful card that's in Modern. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's one of these my favorite film series. It's called the One Ring. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's in a lot of the decks in Modern. It's very ubiquitous in Modern these days. Not really as the defining feature of any deck, but just as a value card that can go in any deck. And if something costs 4 mana and doesn't win the game immediately, it has to be as good as the One Ring. So the One Ring slamming down here for Dom will give him protection from anything Benjamin can do, right? Like the without, of course, as you mentioned, a Bone Crusher ring type or Bone Crusher type effect that turns off the protection. But this just means it just buys you a whole turn. It's almost a time walk in that sense. And then when that involves enters a saga, Dom can maybe you sequence things together where you're able to go ring into ring, and then your saga hits 3, and your opponent, even having the cards to kill you, just can't get there because your ring bridged you through the difficult turns to when you had enough mana and the cards to combo. And that's just what it does essentially in every deck, whether it's leading you to a combo at the end or just, more removal spells to win the game or so on, right? Like it's just the advantage in the bridge it provides and the protection. It just gets there in every deck. And that's why you see it in almost every deck. So Benjamin, in this case now, is thinking this
Ooh.
through. He's got Pick the Poison in hand. So this is an interesting spot. Pick your poison.
Yeah, it's each, so it's not target. I'm not
Yeah.
entirely sure I would want to fire this off this turn. Oh, we choose enchantment. So it
It's
sacrifices
the
a saga.
saga.
I
Mhm.
like that play a lot more here.
Yeah, that hits the lands. That's big there. That restricts the mana. That removes the lines we talked about of just trying to get the saga up to 3 so that you can go pull something with it. So nice line there from Ben Ungar. And you see why I pick your poison. Just a really interesting little Murders at Karlov Manor comment has made its way into so many modern sideboards,
Oh, dude,
even as a sorcery.
I remember the last modern RC season. This was the most played card. It was like
Yeah.
in Europe at the RC, it was like 990 copies or something crazy. Because back in that time, that was obviously when we had a lot of ley lines floating around the format, and this just happened to be the best card in it, and everybody was running them in their sideboards. It was crazy. So chat's asking why would we do the land there over the ring? Like, I guess the reason we're doing it over the ring is because the ring can do damage to Dom over time.
Dom is at 4 life.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's what I think the reason is.
Yeah, this is the other interesting part of the ring, and I know a lot of people talk about how many decks it's in and how strong it is. But the games that come down to weird, like, is my ring going to kill me before I can find a way to deal something about it? It can be a fun little sub game.
Right, Chigana in hand plus unknown, which looks like a bauble. That's a trigger.
Okay.
So lava dart in graveyard as well. Remember, I
This
don't
is
think
a
it's lethal.
big spot. Yeah. Yeah, that's because the bobble giving the extra trigger to the mage here. Um makes things definitely a little worse. Like it definitely is going to put things into a more awkward situation for Darm. Still sitting on that Burton Forge Tinder, of course.
So I think he's gonna have to. This turns he sacrifices the forge, but then is that even worth Ben tacking in this spot? So because it's also going to mean that we have to use the lava dart in our graveyard. Are we going to do this before damage? Before blocks? Going to go face. So this is going to be Dom going down to 3. So we can just go double block sack. Ring
Yeah, as far as I
down
can,
to 1.
yeah, I think this is the ring is the real problem here for Dom, right? Even if you find a way to survive the combat, you're looking at having to completely go off, which means you need to do this so that there's no way you lose Nadu. It's just kind of a difficult blocking spot for him, as you can see him trying to count it all out. We'll see where he lands here, but he's not just thinking about this combat or whatever, right? He's trying to figure out how if I can get through this combat, is there a way I can untap with this Nadu and try to win? So block, and then we'll.
I think there is, because I think I saw a card calling in hand, and as long as all we
Yep.
do is sacrifice this forge, prevent the damage from
Yep.
the other bird wizard, the slick shot.
Slingshot. Yep.
Then that gets the slick shot off the battlefield. Only Raptor. We know the last card in hand's Giganta. Card on top of the deck. Is this going to be? It's a galvanic blast, discharge. Sorry, and we've got the energy. Okay, how does this do?
Yeah. Well, and that's the other reason the bauble is important is because it gives an extra card in addition to that trigger. So instead of Ben just having nothing and it being that, now Dom has an additional layer to consider, and that being this galvanic discharge.
We're going to start off with another delighted halfling, because that's basically free, especially as I believe cord is the line. But if we tap out free here for a cord, that discharge could deal with the current Nadu. God, timing is everything here, isn't it? Like, when do you fire it off? Because if he just cords for free, he just goes to finds another one.
Yeah, that's right. This is a fascinating spot. But no
Same.
one's. I mean, you saw how quickly Dom worked through his combo turn, right? Last turn, right? Like he knows what he's doing with this, right? So he has considered the lines here, even if it's a pretty brutal spot to try to dig out of.
Yeah, he's the thing is that this is the hard bit about the deck, right? Is you've been put in a situation again, you're at one life again,
That's
so you
right.
now have to find the win again. But awkwardly, it kind of has to be this turn, or you've got to play another ring, because that ring is going to kill you next turn. Here comes the call for free, though. Any responses?
All right, Benjamin.
Galvanic trigger. It's a one ring in hand. Dom not thrilled about it. Could go and find another Nadu here, but then what does that do?
Yeah, that's what this was a huge play by Ben finding that discharge, so he's able to do this. Dom gets the trigger, but if he goes and gets Nadu here, he can't really do anything else. So he's going to cord for 3. I mean, we can take a look at his list. To see
So I'm
what he
gonna have a
finds
little
here,
look.
but
What other options are there?
this is brutal because his plan was perfect. Look at that amazing crew behind the scenes here. Yes, your X equals 3. I'm not sure exactly what could get you out of it here
Oh, we
because
did.
you have to deal with the ring in play
Yeah,
and
but
your opponent's creatures.
if we left up
Tough
green
spot.
mana, I think we left up the Hollow Fountain or and not any green mana. We could have got a Haywire Might to exile our own ring, so we could have blocked with it, gained 2 life, and exiled our ring. But I don't think we've left up the green mana, and we've played our land for the turn. This is going to be, yeah. See, we left up the blue white. I think that might be a bit awkward tap in here. Maybe if we've got another chord. Well, I suppose obviously if we've got a Shuko in hand, it doesn't really matter. We just get another Nadu and go. But the way that Dom's kind of in the tank here is making me think Ben's having a whale of a time. He's like, look, I've done my job. You tell me if I've won the game or I've lost the game. You know what I mean? Handshakes here waiting for you.
Well, that's exactly right because it's pretty four permanents in play again for Ben. You know, it's just
So,
nice and simple.
Outrider.
Yeah, Dom was not able to finish it off. Plays the Outrider. It's
That's
at 1
it.
life. Creature from Ben takes it down.
Taylor Swift spear getting there off the top of our deck, giving us that extra point that we needed. We're going to go to game 3, ladies and gentlemen. But Dom will be on the play this time, which is even more scary. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that galvanic discharge was huge there. You know, all this is what people who you talk to the energy players, right? You talk to the Mardu energy players specifically, and they'll tell you, well, the reason I play Mardu energy is because I want more interaction against things like Nadu. And you saw how important it can be there. If you're able to provide a clock in addition to the pressure, it doesn't matter if Nadu is the most broken card in the format because your deck at least has ways to interact. Now, the flip side of that, as we may or may not see as Dom goes on the play here, is sometimes you just play out a normal hand and Nadu still just kills you on turn 3 because its ceiling is so much higher. So if you're playing the Gruul Prowess, you're hoping to catch those players stumbling and just absolutely punish them, put the screws to them, because any small decision point out of those players is going to be so magnified when they don't get to just set their combo turn up for 3 turns over, while you're sitting there trying to play, a normal game of Magic. right? Those Prowess decks can really put the pressure on, and that's what you have to do when you're facing down an omnipresent combo deck.
Yeah, like you're not bringing the Gruul Prowess deck or any Prowess deck really. In fact, I would say you're not bringing any deck if you don't think that you can beat Nadu currently in this meta. You know you're going to play against it at some point. You know how powerful it is. You've got to really tailor your sideboard for those options. And then we didn't really see any of them come apparent here. If anything, we saw Dom has the sideboard card in a pro red card, and still the mono red deck won. So it's Magic's amazing. This is why we all love this game, right? But we didn't see at the sideboard, I want to mention, is these harsh mentors and how key they can be in these sort of games.
Yeah, we saw the pick your poisons, which were nice there. We did not see any of the harsh mentors, which is kind of the premier anti-Nadu sideboard card, right? That is the one that just says, if harsh mentor is in play, you can't Nadu me because you're going to take damage for all of these triggers, right?
That's the word for word text as well, by the way. That's exactly what that card says.
No Nadu. Sun Cleanser says no energy, and harsh mentor says no Nadu, and they just printed them a little ahead of their Modern Horizons 3 time. That's all.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, look, so harsh mentor is going to be great there. The pick your poisons, you saw the flexibility of how much work they can do, and that's all it takes. It's just one piece backed up by your normal deck, and hope that your opponent is Shuko flooded or what have you. So it's a game plan, and that's what you need. And here, just taking a look at this deck is that look at that deck as a whole. A bunch of 1-drops, a bunch of 2-drops, even some free spells. It is a straightforward, classic way to play Magic. And I do think that it's nice in a format as powerful as Modern, where you can play giant Eldrazi. You can play ridiculous combo decks. You can also just play, 1/2s for 1 mana and turn them sideways, right? It's nice for Magic to be when you have those options available to you. And who knows, maybe Gruul Prowess becomes one of the top decks next week. We've had periods in the past where Prowess decks were at the top of the field. It's very, very possible, very live. As we continue our conversation around Nadu is in the ways that people are attacking it and going around it.
So we had a little look at, you kind of had a quick glance at the breakdown of the meta of what everyone brought. I mean, we saw the Nadu, we saw the energy decks, Jeskai, Mardu, Boros, and a few of the Goyos decks are floating around. One deck we're not seeing is the Necro Dominance deck. Like, that deck is extremely powerful. It's hard to pilot, I think, but it's extremely powerful. Utilizes Necro Dominance, utilizes the One Ring, utilizes Shield Dreads, Bowmasters, lots of interaction. It's got the Grief package in there as well. Is there a reason you think people aren't playing it this weekend? Are they priced out? Because one of those Soul Spike literally is worth some money now. Let's put it that way. It's spiked in price.
Yeah, so it's both expensive but also difficult to attain. Like Boseiju is difficult, but for different reasons, right? But it can be literally just hard to find the soul spikes. But yeah, no, that deck, as you mentioned, it is very difficult to play. That is kind of from the Pro Tour and all the teams I know tested it, was that they were like, the margins on this deck are very thin. It's very powerful, but it is not easy to play. And I think in a field where you can do something just sort of really proactively powerful, like play Nadu, or even just play a red deck that goes more aggro, right? Like those the mono black decks are kind of in a different class, just in terms of what it takes to bring it to a tournament and sort of the conditions that you need to find success with it, right? So you play Gruul Prowess, you know exactly what you're doing. Playing Bant Nadu, you know exactly what you're doing. You're playing Soul Spikes, I mean, you know what you're doing, but you are somewhat at the mercy. Everyone else is bringing bear.
I was talking to a Pro Tour champion, Seth Manfield, about it. So registered it, and all the different lines and interactions, and how hard he felt doing it. And literally one of the best to ever touch these small pieces of cardboard that we call Magic the Gathering. And if he's running it hard, I got no chance. I mean, that's enough for me to just go find another deck. Both players kept. It looks like we've got a Molder 6 on Dom's side. I think it's a Molder 5 on Ben's side. But Dom doing the turn 1 Surveil. Tony likes that card, and it looks like staying on top.
Likes it well enough.
Past Termac. Oh, that's a nice one. I was hoping we get to talk about this Unstable Amulet off the top. I really, really love this card and all the different little incremental damage it can do over the course of the game, especially if you play it on Zelia's turn 2.
Unstable Amulet is a heck of a card. And it's one where I look at it and I think when they designed this card, like this screams to me card we designed for limited, not card we designed to break open modern. You know? Like but it just does so much.
Well, and
2 energy
Raptors
when
in the
it
same
comes into
boat.
play. It just pings people forever, which makes it the perfect form of card advantage in the aggressive Boros decks. Um, it is a heck of a card.
Well, it's the same as Amp Raptor, right? No one really thought Amp
Yeah.
Raptor was going to see as much play as it does 2 mana for like a baby cascade effect at times,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
the ability of it, along with Aether Hubs or Guided Soul, that sort of stuff can mean that you can turn 2 Blood Moons now, turn 2 Fables, even turn 2 just getting a Flage out to get an extra 3 points of damage and get it in your
Yeah.
graveyard. That's some of the real power of those decks moving forward. See if we want to deploy it here. We do start off with another 1-drop elf on the. Is it an elf or is it a wizard? What's the creature type? Let me have a little look. See, it is a human wizard of the Safekeeper. I think he got errated to human wizard opposed to just wizard.
Yeah, I think so because I can see that nice throwback one there. Judgment, maybe if I remember what set that's from. I might be completely wrong. Safekeeper, just a heck of a card though.
Yeah, but
Legacy
again, it just
staple.
came into back into modern because of MH3.
That's right. Yeah, it's a very nice reprint into modern. This is kind of what the Horizon sets are supposed to are good for, right? Is
Mhm.
giving decks some tools that they needed, like revitalizing, sort of updating, modernizing the Eldrazi type archetype, and then putting some cards into the format that are nice additions. Safekeeper, I think, has found a nice spot. We'll see, sort of outside of a Nadu context, maybe in the future, if it performs. But we're definitely watching Unstable Amulet perform because you called it. Lands on turn 2, immediately gets going. Huge
Well,
piece for Ben.
it flips, finds another amulet. We've got another amulet in hand. If this game goes long, every card that is not cast from our hand is going to do a free lightning bolt to Dom Harvey's face. But this band deck's pretty quick, I heard.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, Ben is what you named it. He's got a long game plan set up, right? He is set. And so the thing is, if the rest of his cards, are just kind of magic cards that do stuff, then Dom might have a window. But if any of Ben's last cards are good interaction with Dom, then the Unstable Amulet allows him to just sit behind that and know that that will give you an avenue to win the game over the course of the next 5 to 6 turns to come. And you can just sit behind your mana and wait to try to interact with Nadu. Obviously, Safekeeper exists, but that's what you're hoping, right? If you're Ben, that's kind of what Amulet gives you. Is it's just so passive at doing everything you want it to do. You just put it on turn 2 and forget about it.
We see a classic Thoughtseize bug there for Dom Harvey. Pits the Windswept Heath in the graveyard off the Surveil, draws Windswept Heath off the top of the deck. Classic. Decides to play it for land for the turn, cracks it, going down 1 more life point, finds that forest. Basics are pretty good. Things that don't do damage to you in this matchup. Do see a Nadu in hand. That's brought to the front of the, and I see a cord as well, but decides not to do anything. Just pass the turn back. What could this be representing?
Yeah, I guess we're looking at cord for 1 if he wants it, and it does look like that's what he's got pulled to the front of his hand there. Um,
Endurance is a good blocker, I guess. A big 3/4
Yeah, I mean,
body.
he's definitely got options because of that, right? And that makes, if you're Ben, that's something to think about because you mentioned it, a blocker, right? Like that's a reasonable game plan when the way this particular game is going. Ben's on this slower amulet plan. He's not got a slick shot show off and you threatening to hit you for 7 or 9 in the air. Maybe you can play around a play like that where you're sitting at 15 and you're not just immediately dead.
Ben's got this problem that it's got too many cards in hand and not enough land. It's like the problem that every mono red deck wants, just not when you're trying to race a deck. And we're going to start off with a Dragon Rage Channeler.
It's a big turn though.
And then we're going to fire live dart off, get that Surveil trigger. Do you like that top card? No, we don't. That's a Taylor Swifty going in the graveyard. Now, do you want to sacrifice a land, Dom? No, I want a cord first. Here he goes. This is Dom's game plan after all, and I think we're going to let the lava dart resolve. Maybe. Yep, here we are. So we've got.
I was going to say it would be huge for Ben to double spell this turn. That's why he wants that other land. But the lava dart kind of allows that Dom is able to set up though here. He's able to do what he wanted to do that turn, and then he rips that Shuko, right? So
Shuko off the top, play that, slam that down, play this Nadu, and we are off to the races. As we get a nice little raid there from Mr. Dingo himself. Hope you're doing, my friends. But we were talking about Boris. Of course, if we talk about any sort of Boris energy deck, you have to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, who's, I think, racked up 5 or 6 challenge top 8s in the last 2 weeks. But yeah, Dom's going off on one now. So if we had that, can we roll that we can just get that going production for the chat, that'd be great.
This was a fascinating game because we talked about how if Ben had a little bit of interaction for Dom's board, all he needed to do was sit behind his amulets and he's going to get there. And that's kind of how it played out. He had a good lava dart turn. He had a big attack. And while Dom had some life, Dom was still sort of sunk down in his seat, trying to figure out what was going to be next. And then, that Shuko off the top just made it all easy. But that said, Dom's lines here.
Oh, we missed.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say Dom's lines here were great. He set all of that up. So he was going to untap with the Forge Tinder and Nadu to play. He's going to have a protected Nadu there. And that was his first step. Finding Shuko was a bonus. Missing with Shuko was not expected at all. And that opens a window here a little bit. Maybe.
I think he's going to get another turn, unfortunately. Like, the fact that we can just, whenever we play a land now, we can pay 2 mana and make more pro-red creatures that we can sacrifice. If it was this case as like the last 2 games where Dom was at 1, 2, 3 life, I think this is great for Ben, but this situation, not enough land to do all the spells we want to do in one turn. But what else are you going to do? Pardon me.
Yeah, he can make an attack here. Doesn't swing with the Swift Spear because the Forge Tinder can block it for free, of course. Does go ahead and get in with both creatures that fly because that's artifact, land, spell, and creature in Ben's graveyard. So DRC, Dragon Rage Channeler, into the air. And I guess thinking through the Swift Spear here. But yeah, it's looking like Dom is in all likelihood going to be able to survive this attack, untap with Shuko and Nadu. And Shuko and Nadu does miss occasionally. You do have to recognize that there is a bit of a failure rate with the deck, but not likely when you have
in quotes failure rate. Yeah, it's
the failure rate comes last turn, right? Where you have 1 or 2 limited triggers and you need to hit something to keep going, and they don't, and you have a window. And this was that window. Ben wasn't able to completely capitalize on it, and Dom's going to get on tap with just about everything.
So by the time everything is done, we had a little bit of damage go across 3 points. That was all. That is, it's so awkward, isn't it? It's like that's the best that we could do that turn, was get 3 points of damage across, and yet Dom's going to untap with the pro red creature with a way to continue to make pro red creatures or snakes and Nadu with Shuko. And here we go again. Any land is going to make more creatures. One of our lands already makes creatures. This is extra triggers. It's another creature, more importantly. And here we go off to the song and dance race again. Target itself, land, make a token. This is the first trigger. We're going to make a construct, is what I believe is.
Yeah.
Oh no! We're going to make a copy. We're making a copy of the Fortender. Because for 2 mana, 1 green, 1 colors, we can make a copy of whatever it's attached to. So we're going to make lots of copies of pro-red creatures that can sacrifice to prevent red damage. Pretty good, even though I don't think it's going to be relevant here. But we're going to go through the motions anyway.
Yeah, the creatures are the creatures. That's all that matters, is that they're creatures in this circumstance. But it's kind of a nice flex, right?
Okay, more triggers. Last one. That makes 2. We're going to tap 1 Gruul. Am I missing? Oh, there's a Yavimaya on the battlefield.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, it's the land tucked into the bottom. So it's just going to make an insect now. So now we've got 3 pro-red creatures. We can sack and go get another land if we want to, but I'm not so sure what. I think Dom's trying to work out how can I show you a loop so this game is over. Nadu hand.
Yeah, and Ben's thinking about what he wants for lunch.
So am I.
Fair.
More insect tokens. Yeah, just the speed that Dom is moving. Like any combo player that you play against, when someone moves this quickly, you're just watching them. I remember watching Tom Ross back in the day. Tom used to go so quick when he had those infect wins.
Yeah, that's a deck I imagine once you get comfortable with, you can fly with. But before then, you're like counting all your pump spells up 4 times, make sure it counts to 10. Been on the other side of that one a few times.
Oh, I've been on the right side of that one a few times. That's the good thing. Okay, so we're still going. If anyone needs to go to the bathroom, this is a great time to do it, because we might have a backup feature match for you all as well. Which look, if production will let me, I'll say, can we start getting that one rolled up? This game is over with. We're just watching Dom pick cards on the battlefield at this point. I'm very confident to say that Dom has won this game. And this is game number 3, so Dom will end up taking this one down and going to a 2-0 victory. Okay, we don't have time for the backup feature match because this is taking so long. We're actually in turns, so that dice in the front of the table there, this is turn number 1 of extra turns. So we unfortunately won't get that backup, but we do get to see Dom. What is this? Is this a flex at this point? Is this showing up? Is this just showing the power of this? We might never see this deck played again after this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. This might be the last time, so let's soak it in a little bit. Let's just remind ourselves: was Oko really that bad? what's the other one?
Was Eldrazi Winter really that cold?
Yeah, was it that cold? I don't think it was that bad. What's the other green blue card? It was Oko and Uro. Was Uro?
Yeah.
Uro did nothing wrong. It's basically like Flage. Come on.
I mean, what's wild is that we're talking about, in modern functions, obviously different than standard. Oko was 69% of the Pro Tour.
That's great.
All right, never forget how nice that card was. It was an extremely 70%, 69% of the field, insane.
It's just, don't wrong. I've played through all those different matters. And I wasn't a fan of any of them, let's be honest. But go on.
You're right about this thing in retrospect, though. Like, people fondly remember Eldrazi Winter. No one brings up Eldrazi Winter, and you're like, wow, I really hated Magic. They were the worst time of my life. You're like, I remember that. That was wild. That was crazy. And look, maybe we'll get a look back at Nadu that way. Maybe not. Maybe you'll once say I sat there for 15 minutes and watched that Eggs player play their turn, and that deck won a Pro Tour, and it was terrible, and then it got banned. But it was cool that Sifka won a Pro Tour with Eggs. Maybe we'll look at Nadu that way.
Are we getting an extra turn here? Am I missing something? It looks like we passed the turn back to Ben. Ben decides to activate,
If we did miss something here, it's that was there not a loop established at the end of it?
I think it was a loop of going like potentially infinite with tokens, or Dom just stopped and was like, I've got the win next turn. Yeah. There's nothing you can play that can save you, especially as Dom's got all these pro-red creatures as well that can stop basically every spell in Benjamin's deck. It's like, this is the easier way of doing it. Pass the turn, have a gazillion creatures. Next turn, I'm just going to turn them all sideways.
You can't get yourself, one, you save yourself some crucial brain cycles there. 2, can't get yourself any rules violations if you just pass the turn.
Yeah.
No missed triggers if you just pass the turn. But all right, here we go with some more of it. I guess this ends in a big attack.
Yeah, why not? Like, winning different styles. If you're going to win in style, I think, Dom's a showman. He understands, what it's like to be on camera. It's going to put us on a good show.
I mean, look at this board.
Oh, yeah. This is a caster's dream. Work out what's happening there. It's a handshake. I know what that means, and that means that Dom managed to win that game. Benjamin's going to drop to 1-1, but not out of it. You know what I mean? There's still a lot to play for this weekend. There are 8 rounds of modern action happening, and we're going to step away, have a short break because we need it now, and we'll be back for round number 3 momentarily. So don't go anywhere. See you shortly.